What up, Copy Squad? It's your boy, Kyle Milligan of KyleTheWriter.com, and today I'm going to tell you about the best courses for copywriters in college or university, as they say over there in Europe. Alright, so today's topic of discussion is for you college boys out there. Welcome to the team. I am a college boy graduate as well, but I don't really harp on it, and I don't think it's very much necessary. But since I did get a pretty cool question about college and what to do with it, I think I have some cool ideas that I think will help people who are trying to get into copywriting, especially those entry-level copywriters who are looking for like matching up on job requirements or getting the qualifications that they need before they hit the scene. I think a lot of people kind of hype up like, what do I need to do to be like, what are my copywriter degree requirements so that I can get a job as a advertising writer or a website writer or any kind of copywriter. And I'll say first and foremost, I don't think it's necessary. In all the arenas that I've been in, college is not like a requirement to get into copywriting. Maybe some big old school places might do that, like big old like advertising places might. I don't know. Nick, what up? Welcome to the live. Nick says college is a complete waste of time. Haha. All right, cool. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think there are ways. I'm gonna talk like Nick says, worst money I ever spent, bro. I feel you, bro. So much debt. But I want to address this question that I got, and I kind of have an idea for like how you can make college useful. So the question is, Kyle, I need your wisdom. I'm a college student with 2 years to go. I wish to become a successful copywriter like me, like you someday. Can you give me advice what to do with these 2 years of my college time? Okay, so my first knee-jerk reaction was practice copywriting. Do the 3 daily exercises I preach in every other video, right? Practice deep work. So for one thing, this is my knee-jerk reaction. I have a more elaborate reaction for you in just a second. It was basically like, hey man, just take 1 hour a day, deep work hour, and just do the 3 practices I teach you. You'll finish them. You'll knock them out in like 30 minutes. Maybe just repeat them, do them again, or look deeper. So I say, first and foremost, if you're in college and you want to practice, or you want to get into copywriting, start practicing now, okay? But let's talk a little bit about, you can also practice with clients. Like, you can go get a client right now. But let's talk a little bit about the courses I think that will really help you in college. Like, I do think if you're going to be in college, right, you might as well leverage that accessibility you have to these different courses and classes that can help you actually be a stronger persuader. So let's talk about that. I actually learned about persuasion. Let me tell you a little bit about me. Tell about your boy, your charismatic, gregarious copywriting guru, Kyle the Writer. I was not very good at, I wasn't a very confident or assertive, or like I wasn't very good at making friends or girlfriends in like high school and college. Like I had some friends and stuff, and I still have those friends today. They really stuck through it thick and thin. But like in college, I took psychology, and one of my like weird like underlying motives was to try to like learn how to be better at making friends, how to be better at talking to girls and stuff like that. And it was actually through that I wound up in social psych. And that's one of my like number one classes that I highly recommend that you take if you're in college and you can get access to it. You'll probably have to take Psych 101, and then it'll be like Psych 203. What you're going to be looking for is a social psychology class. You're going to be looking at anything with the course description, influence, persuasion, conformity, and anything like that, social constructs, stuff like that. Because I think what really is important in copywriting is getting into understanding the people that you're speaking to. It's crazy because I can hear things like, I'll say I heard at a business, someone who like reminded me of pre-college Kyle, that like sort of like I'm going to like I was willing and ready to tell anyone that they were wrong and that I was right on the drop of a dime. Nowadays, I'm very, very nervous about telling someone you're wrong. Like that's like one of the worst things you can do in a relationship, high or low. Whether it's someone like you just meet at like, it could be like your waiter at a restaurant, right? And if they mess up your order, do you want to be like, I told you, do this, do that, you're wrong, this is not what I ordered. Like, you can handle it that way, or and end up basically paying for your food and someone spitting on it and throw it on the floor, or you can learn how to be like a persuasive individual by getting into the mindset and understanding of other human beings. And that's where social psychology, conformity, persuasion, any influence class that you can get into, be like Psych 203 or 204 or something like that, be like a second level, really helpful. I'll tell you, my first piece of copy I ever wrote, I didn't even realize it was copy or copywriting. One of the ways, like I said, I wasn't very great at making friends, but I figured it out. And one of the ways that I did this was I had house parties like every weekend, and I would just like, me and my 2 roommates, we'd get like $400 worth of Busch Light, that's like 1 zillion beers, and I would just start handing out like invitations to these house parties to every person who I thought looked interesting or attractive. And I would pack my apartment to like 5 a.m. And I made a lot of friends that way. And I took a little lesson from my social psychology class about foot in the door, I think it's called. Basically, I created a tip jar, because this is costing us a lot of money. $400 is a lot in college. So I would create a tip jar, and on it I put a little sticky note. And first off, I threw a bunch of money inside the jar, okay? That is social proof. I learned that in psychology. And then I put a sticky note, and it said, even a penny helps. So there was 5s and 10s inside the jar for social proof, and then I put a sticky note on the side of the jar. It said, please help us out, even a penny helps, and then a smiley face. And I learned that from psychology class too, because basically what happens is, you ask for a penny, no one's going to give you a penny. They'll say, okay, well, I want to help, I want to contribute, but nobody's going to drop a penny. They'll drop $1 or a quarter, or et cetera, et cetera. So basically, it's like foot in the door, I think it was called, is that tactic? I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, so that was kind of something I learned in psychology course. And we had all sorts of stuff like that. And I was learning the art of persuasion. And now for me at the time, I had ulterior motives. I wasn't trying to sell stuff or make money. But it was definitely a game changer for me, because I've carried that throughout my life. I just remember those lessons. And I think one of the things is, like, it really starts with research. I'm gonna get around to that too. Oh, by the way, my book is called Take Their Money. It'll teach you how to speak the language of copywriting so that you can communicate to these impulses and emotional pulls that I'm gonna be talking about in this video. If you get my book, Take Their Money, it's at kylethewriter.com/book. Someone could type that in the comments. I would appreciate you very much. But yeah, so I basically learned those very early on, like how to kind of like manipulate people with my psychology courses. And then I'll tell you the other two or three types of courses that you should probably take in college that'll really help your game out in copywriting. I had English 101 and English 102. And I think like 101 was like your basic English, like English 101. And I think 102 was like your basic like research or like scientific writing. So the scientific writing was, we had to write using like Chicago, or what's it called? What's that scholarly journal stuff? Anyway, we had to write with specific types of writing, and we had to cite sources and do research. This was like weirdly helpful for me, and it's like, I think it's imbued into my system. I don't really remember anything from that class, but I really do think it went a long way with teaching me how to do research. Furthermore, my major in college was psychology. Okay, so one of the things, like once you get past the level 2s, so Psych 101, right? That's like general psych. Then you go into like Psych 203 or 204, you look for those persuasion and conformity classes, social psychology, and you'll learn all about the propinquity effect, and you'll learn about all these other cool things like hostile attribution bias, and you'll learn about the halo effect. You'll learn about all these cool psychology things that most people don't know about. And the reason most people fail to make friends in life is because they don't understand like the things that they don't know what they don't know. And a lot of times they have this weird approach. Like, someone was debating with me the other day. I'm getting off on a tangent. Someone was debating with me the other day, and at the end of the day, at the end of the argument or whatever, he made like this really big point, and he sat back and he smirked and he's like, huh. And like whoever else was there was like, wow, this guy's a really good debater. And I was like, sure, maybe he like made that point, and like he might have like logically like put a brick wall in front of whatever argument I was making, but it's worthless, because you have not won me over. You have not persuaded me to go to your side. If anything, I'm just as resound and determined to sit on my side of the fence as ever. That's not good persuasion. Debating is not persuading. Like telling someone that they're wrong. It's like one of the worst things you can do. And everyone goes through life thinking that and knowing that. So you'll learn a lot of biases and stuff like that in psychology that you can use to your benefit. And it'll make you a better person, actually, because you'll actually have more empathy for the person that you're speaking to. Because the person you're speaking to never thinks they're wrong, obviously. And I think in How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie sets this up by talking about, like, this murderer who said, like, before he died, like, I would have never hurt a fly or something like that, or I'm a good guy or something like that. And it's like, what? So, like, once you get in other people's mind, it's a huge help for selling stuff, right? Because you understand, like, everyone, like, once you kind of get that, even, like, the pretty bad people are genuinely believe that doing the right thing or that they're good people, it's almost hard to, like, label people good or bad once you understand their intentions and motivations are they think they're pure and good. But that's a huge game changer. The other thing, doing psychology as a major in college was, once you get to, like, the 400s and 500 psychology classes, those are purely research. Because that's what the field of psychology really is. I just finished Thinking Fast and Slow, and man, that was a dry book. Just all psychology courses, like, front to back, like, just nonstop, man. Kind of dry, but very interesting book. But that's what the field of psychology basically is. It's like a highly academic field where it's mostly research-based, right? To make waves in the psychology profession, you have to perform research. So after you get through those level, like, 200 courses in psychology, you will be almost exclusively writing research papers. This was another huge help for me as a copywriter, because as a copywriter, I say, like, 70% of your promo is written before you type a single word by the research. The research tells you what to write. You do not come up with that sales letter. That is not your big idea. You find it out there in the marketplace. It is not your information. You know what? My sales letters, for instance, like, I'm writing a sales letter for my book, Take Their Money, at kylethewriter.com/book. I'm working on that sales letter right now. And I'm not going to flip through the pages of my book to look for ideas. I'm not even really going to look at my book. Instead, I'm going to look at cases. I'm going to look for research that support my arguments about why you should buy the book. My arguments is that copywriting is a language. Practicing and immersing yourself in it like a language will make you a more effective communicator, right? That's the kind of stuff that I want to find to support the arguments for my book. My book says that new, easy, safe, and big are the biggest, most important emotions to sales and trigger people to buy stuff. That's in my book, but I'm going to look for the research to sell that somewhere else. I'm going to look for scientific journal articles that support my stance, that new and novel makes you want to read and discover more and buy stuff. I'm going to go and find loss aversion studies that say that safety is, like, super important and will actually cause you to take lesser payouts in order to get something guaranteed that might be less valuable, right? I'm going to find things outside of my book, not my creative brain. I'm going to go look elsewhere, doing research to support my claims. And that's how I will create proof and all this stuff. And that's what I learned through being a psychology major. Massive, massive research. We had to do a research paper, like, every week, man. And, well, not every week. It was like it was broken into semesters. It's like every couple weeks. Like, we had, like, a quarterly thing or something like that. And, but yeah, some of my classes were just, like, psychology research. And you had to go find studies and write, like, meta-analysis, where you just combine all the studies and see if you can draw new conclusions. That's just basically coming up with ideas, man. So psychology. Like, if you got 2 years to kick it in college, get you a minor in psychology. If you can get a major in psychology, and if you want to be a copywriter, get the major. Like, if you don't think, like, college, okay, so Nick said earlier, college was the biggest waste of money he ever spent, right? College is good if you're going to be a doctor, if you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going to be an accountant, if you're going to be a professional services kind of person that needs, like, some graduate level stuff. College is necessary, right? If you're going to be an engineer, you need that specific training. If you're going to be basically most anything else, or if you know you want to be a copywriter, then, well, you're probably piling on a bunch of debt, unless you came from money, which, more power to you, brother. But you can, what was I saying? Damn it. If you know you want to be a copywriter, well, your degree in copywriting, the closest thing to a copywriting degree is psychology, specifically social conformity, influence, and persuasion psychology skills. Learning about the brain, the chemistry and stuff like that, meh. I learned a lot about what was it called? Evolutionary psychology was another class I took, and that basically teaches you, like, the basis for all of our weird lizard brain actions. I talk about the lizard brain a lot, too. So a lot of this stuff is based in psychology. Like, I'm not just up here spitting bullshit at you. Like, a lot of this stuff comes from, like, like journal, scientifically backed stuff where I come up with a lot of my ideas. I don't, it's not for me, man. I am not creative. I am not smart. I'm not a creative copywriter. I just go look for it. I listen to smarter people. I listen to smart people. That's what I do. I'm not clever or creative. I simply get the information from people who know better than me. All right, so if you got 2 years to kill in college, get a psych degree. Let's see if I got anything else I wanted to say. That's like, a psychology degree is basically a direct response copywriting course in a nutshell. You learn how to do research. I do teach you how to do research for sales letters at kylethewriter.com/book if you're interested in that. But you learn how to do research, and you learn how to persuade and make persuasive arguments. And you also learn the tricks of the trade to better persuade people, to be more effective at persuasion. Also, you learn how people think and the rational, like, not rational, but like the rationale behind their choices, because they are irrational, right? You learn about all these biases and heuristics and these conclusions that you jump to when you just hear like a word and an entire meaning that comes to mind, stuff like that. So the closest thing to a direct response copywriting degree would be psychology. Yeah, that's probably like your best bet. As far as copywriting job requirements, like I don't think anybody really requires that to be a copywriter these days. I mean, I don't know of any that do. That's all I've got, squad. Dan, what's up, Dan? Dan says, oh yeah, get the book and the research package. They're both great. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate your comment. All right, if there's no other questions, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you found this useful. Basically, yeah, psychology, and then English 101 and English 102. English 101, I guess, was basically like you're learning your grammar and stuff, learning like all the principles, learning how to sentence structure and stuff that you'll probably, maybe with practice you'll get better at, but you'll probably forget. But English 102 was my scientific writing course, and I think that also helped me because I was just always writing research. I was always doing research and writing scientific articles and stuff for college. Nick says, any way to just cop the research videos if we already got the book? Is it just an upsell? So Nick, at this time, if you purchase the research bundle, the book comes with the research free. So the price right now is the cost of the research standalone. So if you do get the research now, you'll just get like another download of the book included for free. So there's no like, you just get it. Like, does that make sense? So if you get it, you get the book again for free, but the book is included for free if you get the research videos. I hope that makes sense. There was confusion last time I tried to explain this, so I hope that makes sense. All right, that's all I got. You can check out the research videos that I created for how to write sales letters that make you a bunch of money. And you can check out my book, Take Their Money, at kylethewriter.com/book. Thanks so much for tuning in today, guys. I hope this was very useful. Peace out, Copy Squad.